You know, like in Alice in Wonderland, and I lived in a one-bedroom apartment with a girl and a guy, and the girl and I, and
Heather Locklear threatened to shoot police officers in her own living room, and when they searched for the registered firearm she'd mentioned, they found nothing but rage and prescription bottles. The woman who once dominated American television as the queen of prime time had become unrecognizable, arrested twice in 4 months for attacking paramedics and law enforcement, while her daughter watched the collapse from the sidelines. What transforms a beloved actress into someone facing 8 criminal charges? And why did her best friend dating her ex-husband trigger a decade-long spiral that no amount of fame could stop? This is the story of how Heather Locklear built an empire on television, lost everything that mattered, and discovered that the real enemy was never the tabloids or the betrayals, but something far closer to home. Born September 25, 1961 in Los Angeles, Heather Dean Locklear grew up in the San Fernando Valley, where her father Bill, a former Marine turned UCLA administrator, drilled military discipline into his children, while her mother Diane brought creativity as a production executive at Disney. The combination created a household where structure met artistic ambition, and Heather learned early that charm could override punishment when she convinced her parents at age 6 to abandon corporal discipline altogether. High school was brutal for her, rejected from the cheerleading squad with braces and acne, while classmates teased her flat chest and thin frame, and she dated one boy for years in a cycle of breakups and reconciliations that even played out on prom night itself. Those dark years forged resilience she would need later, and while she felt inadequate in everyday life, something shifted when she stood on stage during school plays where teachers and students noticed a natural confidence that never appeared anywhere else. She planned to study psychology at UCLA and dedicate herself to academic research, but fate had already lit a different path when her father helped her land a modeling job for the university's Bearwear fashion catalog right after high school. At just 5'5", international supermodel dreams dissolved before they formed. But that small catalog job opened performing arts as a possibility she hadn't considered. Many tried crossing from modeling to acting and failed. Yet Heather was the exception when she landed Dynasty at 20 years old, cast in the prime-time soap about a Denver oil dynasty where producers wanted her looks but quickly realized her acting skills lagged behind. She froze during dramatic pauses and struggled to move while delivering lines, prompting producer Elaine Rich to exclaim in frustration that someone needed to teach her to count to 3. Rich sent her to a vocal coach to lower her screams by several octaves because her high-pitched, uncontrolled voice lacked gravity, and those early days put Heather at the edge between golden opportunity and being cast aside entirely. She refused to retreat and worked relentlessly until the role of Sammy Jo Carrington became the springboard that launched her from shy UCLA student to defining television star of the 80s, and Dynasty was the foundation without which there would never have been Amanda Woodward in Melrose Place. The 80s brought success and excess, when Dynasty climbed into the Nielsen Top 10 and drew tens of millions of viewers weekly with Heather as the seductive, scheming blonde who stayed with the show for nearly a decade from 1981 to 1989. She co-starred in T.J. Hooker alongside William Shatner, who called her his ultimate muse, and producers desperate to showcase her curves devised an odd solution of padded bras and even fake buttocks in her underwear. Heather tolerated the bulky bra briefly, but drew the line at padded panties, later laughing on the Drew Barrymore show about how her chest was flat and her butt was flat, but nobody was going to define her with something fake. That resolve cemented her as television's golden girl throughout the decade and laid perfect groundwork for her explosion in Melrose Place, where she was initially planned for just 4 episodes, but sent ratings soaring from 94 in Season 1 to 50 in Season 2, with nearly 15 million viewers weekly. Amanda Woodward, sharp and powerful and uncompromising, became the show's centerpiece and earned Heather 4 consecutive Golden Globe nominations, while the press crowned her queen of prime time with every appearance sparking audience frenzy. The peak continued with Spin City in the late 90s when ratings stalled and producers turned to Heather as their savior, and her role as Caitlin Moore breathed new life into the show for the second time she'd rescued a series following her Melrose Place miracle. Michael J. Fox said her presence gave the show new vitality, while Charlie Sheen called her a perfect co-star, and she became the vital bridge helping viewers accept the delicate transition when Fox had to step down due to Parkinson's disease. 2 consecutive Golden Globe nominations from 2000 to 2001 proved she could shine in comedy as easily as drama, and after Spin City came Boston Legal from 2007 to 2009, where she demonstrated resilience by re-emerging in a mature, demanding genre at a time when most peers had retired or faded. Audiences were surprised to see Heather in restrained, less glamorous roles tackling courtroom battles instead of entangled romances, and while Boston Legal didn't make her the ace card Melrose Place had, it presented her as an evolved actress, unwilling to be boxed in and unafraid of risks, even when the spotlight no longer burned as brightly. Recognition extended beyond hit series when she was invited twice to host Saturday Night Live, a rare benchmark reserved for true A-listers, and in 1991 she won Favorite Female Television Performer at the People's Choice Awards. She appeared repeatedly on covers of TV Guide and Rolling Stone and was consistently named among People magazine's most beautiful women in America, transforming from the awkward girl teased in high school into a pop culture icon who defined what television stardom looked like for 2 decades. Her personal life matched the chaos of the dramas she starred in, starting with Tommy Lee from Mötley Crüe, who proposed on Christmas Eve 1985 by popping through a limousine sunroof and shouting his proposal with a 2.3-carat diamond ring while his hair whipped in the wind. They married May 10, 1986, in a lavish wedding, but their honeymoon in the Cayman Islands spiraled into such violent fighting that local authorities had to intervene. Tommy boasted that his wife could down Jack Daniels like a real rocker, a shocking contrast to the Heather who once struggled to pretend being drunk in early Dynasty days. And according to unofficial biographies, he displayed violent behavior that left Heather with bruises and memories of being shoved against walls during his rages. She pushed him into AA meetings and couples counseling and even underwent AIDS testing together after Althea Flint, known to have shared needles with Tommy, was diagnosed with the disease. Their marriage lasted until 1993, and one breaking point came when Heather returned home to find her beloved small dog dead, allegedly attacked by Tommy's Rottweiler, though he denied it. A year later, in 1994, Heather married Richie Sambora, the legendary Bon Jovi guitarist, in what seemed like Hollywood's most beautiful love story, when the television star at her Melrose Place peak met the rock superstar through makeup artist Lisa Christie. Just 7 months later, Richie proposed on Christmas with a pear-shaped Cartier diamond ring that Heather showed off at the Emmy Awards the next day, while press called them entertainment's golden couple. They wed December 17, 1994, in a romantic Paris ceremony and welcomed daughter Ava Sambora in 1997, creating magazine covers filled with images of the picture-perfect Hollywood family. Behind the glitter, cracks formed as Richie stayed constantly on the road with Bon Jovi while Heather was consumed by relentless filming schedules, and by 2006 she suddenly filed for divorce in Los Angeles Superior Court, citing irreconcilable differences. Richie told ABC News while touring that everything at home was fine, and he was still planning Valentine's Day with Heather, clearly blindsided by her decision, even though months earlier they'd appeared in media denying rumors and claiming after 11 years together they were still happy. The real blow came when Richie quickly began a relationship with Denise Richards, Heather's former best friend who wasn't just another actress, but someone Heather had trusted and considered a sister. Headlines screamed about friendship destroyed by love storm, and best friend becomes the other woman while Denise was branded a home wrecker, and Heather endured double heartbreak, losing both her husband and her closest friend. This betrayal shattered the perfect family image Heather had built and plunged her into deep emotional crisis. And according to daughter Ava Sambora, who finally spoke out years later, this double loss triggered her mother's downward spiral into anxiety, depression, isolation, and eventual dependence on prescription drugs as temporary escape. The breaking point came in February 2018 when Heather was arrested at her Westlake Village, California home after a heated argument with boyfriend Chris Heiser, and police called at 9:40 p.m. had to restrain her after she attacked not only her boyfriend, but also 3 responding officers, resulting in charges of domestic violence and 3 counts of battery on law enforcement. During questioning, she allegedly threatened to shoot police if they ever came back to her house, prompting authorities to search for the registered firearm, though nothing was found. Just months later, in June 2018, Heather was arrested again for assaulting both a police officer and a paramedic called to assist during another drunken outburst, and following release she was hospitalized for suspected overdose. This string of incidents left her facing 8 criminal charges, including 5 counts of battery on an officer, 1 count of battery on emergency personnel, and 2 counts of obstructing law enforcement. To avoid prison, she accepted mandatory treatment with 30 days in a mental health facility, a suspended 120-day jail sentence contingent on completing her program, 3 years probation, alcohol ban, firearm prohibition, and required substance abuse rehabilitation. Amid relentless storms, Heather still had one light that never went out in her daughter Ava Sambora, who became the anchor and sole reason her mother could find strength to rise again. Ava did more than witness the collapse, holding Heather's hand through every grueling stage of struggle in a bond that went beyond blood to become a lifeline. On social media, Ava often expressed love and admiration for Heather despite facing her own challenges, once confiding that her mom had always been there for her with comfort and guidance, and now she just wanted to give that back. After years of silence, Ava finally revealed that the bitter 2006 divorce didn't merely end what seemed like a perfect marriage, but opened the door to years of chaos and loss. And the pain deepened when Richie quickly began a relationship with Denise Richards, who had been someone close to the family. Ava's revelation helped fans understand why the once revered television icon had fallen so far, as the divorce combined with Richie's headline-making relationship with Denise left wounds too deep to heal quickly. After her chapter with Jack Wagner closed following a brief 2011 engagement that ended 3 months later due to wedding planning pressures, Heather reunited with high school sweetheart Chris Heiser in 2017 during one of the most difficult phases of her life. The pinnacle came in April 2020 when they officially became engaged, timing that coincided with Heather's 1-year sobriety anniversary celebrated by family, friends, and daughter Ava. For Heather, happiness didn't require a grand wedding, as she explained that what mattered was being together, loving and supporting each other, and with Chris she felt at home after years of turbulence. In 2021, as they both turned 60, Heather welcomed the milestone with optimism, feeling young and emphasizing that perspective mattered most. Chris wasn't just a partner but became a witness to Heather's recovery, and their engagement during the period she regained sobriety after years of decline was seen as renewal. Today, Heather no longer appears on screen as frequently as she once did at the height of her fame, yet she continues holding public attention after choosing a quieter existence in California, focused on family and maintaining mental stability. In 2025, she made rare reappearances on the What Do You Want podcast with friends, appeared at Calgary Expo in Canada for a talk about her television career, and had an emotional reunion with Michael J. Fox at Toronto Fan Expo nearly 25 years after they starred together in Spin City. Not all news was joyful when people confirmed in May 2025 that Heather and longtime fiancé Chris Heiser had split after roughly 5 years engaged, though sources reported she was in a good place, suggesting she'd found ways to stand strong after yet another personal setback. At home, she treats her house as a sanctuary where she can seek peace after so many storms, and rumors suggest she may be considering another stint in treatment to preserve stability, showing that the battle with mental health and addiction is not fully over. Now, in her 60s, Heather Locklear no longer clings to past glories but embraces peace in daily life, and fans who once adored her for iconic roles now follow her not only for nostalgia but for the courage of her journey through darkness. The dazzling spotlight may be gone, yet she leaves behind a powerful lesson that true peace does not lie in fame, but in the courage to confront oneself, and what makes her journey meaningful is that she has never been truly alone, with daughter Ava Sambora remaining by her side as both anchor and inspiration to keep moving forward.